His is on.
Good evening. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the meeting of the Community and Housing Committee. Can I draw everyone's attention to page 3 of the agenda, which sets out details regarding fire safety instructions and the webcasting arrangements. In the event of a fire alarm sounding, please leave the building via the nearest exit. Please make your way to the assembly point located in the Market car park adjacent to the Civic Suite building. Please do not return to the building unless given permission by council staff. For the benefit of those watching from home and those in the public gallery, members of the committee are seated in the front row, and all non-members of the committee in attendance are seated in the rows behind. Please, members, can you please remember to use your mic when speaking and speak clearly into the mic, and turn off after speaking. When asking a question on a paper, please kindly state the page and item number. This will help. Thank you. On to the agenda. Item 1, apologies for absence. Apologies have been received from Councillor Gary Wheeler, Councillor Mike Carter. Substitute members are Councillor Carl Turner, welcome, and Councillor Daniel Efty. Item 2, minutes of the meeting held on the 5th of February. Are these minutes agreed, members? I will look at Councillor Mrs Newport and Councillor Mrs Brewer, as they were both previous members, but it does reflect, the minutes do reflect the meeting that was recorded. Are you in agreement? Great. Thank you, members. Item 3, declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest? If you're declaring an interest, please state the interest and the reason why you are declaring that interest. Councillor Miss Marriott.
I'm a member of Everyone Active.
Thank you. Councillor Mrs Brewer.
Thank you, Chair. It's to do with Finchfield because I'm in Rayleigh Town Council.
Thank you. Councillor Mrs Newport.
Registrable interest as a Rayleigh Town Councillor.
Thank you. Any other interest to register? Okay, there's just myself as well. Item number 6, non-pecuniary interest by virtue of being trustee of ATF. Item 4, public questions on notice. There are none. Item 5, Chair's report. The report begins on page 15. I will now summarise that report. So, community and wellbeing. The public health team supported World Health Day at Clements Hall Leisure Centre alongside local health and voluntary sector partners. The Community Connect vehicle provided advice and support during Dementia Action Week and will continue attending campaigns this year when available. Volunteers Week. The Job Skills and Volunteer Fair was held on the 2nd of June in partnership with local organisations promoting employment, training and volunteering opportunities. It was very well attended again, which was pleasing to see. The council also celebrated local volunteers through interviews and videos to encourage further volunteering across the district. I don't know if members have had a chance to see some of those videos, but credit to our social media team. June is actually quite a busy month with, of course, we have Men's Health Month in June and also Pride Month, which we celebrate. Rochford Community Fund. The fund opened on the 1st of April 2026 and closes on the 31st of July 2026. Community groups can apply for grants between 2 and 5,000. Funding and recommendations will come back to this committee in September. Leisure and physical activity. The Find Your Active grants funding was awarded to Great Wakering Tennis Court refurbishment, Dancing with Dementia project and Community Run Fest Rayleigh. The Rochford and Brentwood Sports Awards. Nominations open at the end of this month and the awards evening is scheduled for the 3rd of November. Healthier Habits Hub, 5,000 funding secured for 2 community health events there, a family fun festival in July and a Falls Prevention Awareness Week in September. Carer support training. 10 professionals have been trained to deliver manual handling training to carers, helping them safely support people at home. The Revive Supermarket. Membership continues to increase with now 206 households. Many users are single-person households with a high proportion reporting disabilities and receiving benefits. Community safety. The Town Rangers pilot. It was introduced in April 26 on a 3-month trial. Patrols focus on the High Street and the King George's area. Early feedback from businesses and residents has been positive. A future report will assess the effectiveness and potential long-term funding. The Housing Register, there was 415 applicants on the Housing Register at the 30th of April 26, up slightly from in March, which was 409. Demand remains the highest for 3-bedroomed properties. Lettings properties were let during January to March 2026 and 8 during April 2026. Most lettings were for 1 and 2 bedroomed homes. New affordable homes, 63 were completed in the district during 2025-26. Homelessness, 85 new homelessness approaches were recorded. There are 172 open homelessness cases at the end of April 2026 and 55 households were living in temporary accommodation. Are there any questions on the report? Yes, please, Councillor Mrs Newport.
Thank you, Chair. So regarding the Town Rangers, I've had feedback from residents and they've been told by the Town Rangers they don't actually cover King George's Park. So if I could have some clarification on that, that would be great. And when will it be determined whether the scheme will continue? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mrs Newport. Thank you. Sean, are you okay to take that question? Thank you. Or the first part.
Yep, so the Town Rangers are covering King George's Park, so I will speak to them to make sure they are, and I can feedback later today if that's okay.
Thank you. Over to Paul.
We are just about to do a consultation with businesses, which will be going out shortly, and discussing with the Parish Council. We're also discussing with the PFCC. And we are looking for other organisations that might wish to support the continuation of the Rangers. So we're hoping in the next month or so that we'll be able to talk to all those partners and get an idea of where we are. So first and foremost, if the businesses and the resident, or certainly the businesses in the high street, which is what it's there to support, like it, then and they want to have a discussion with us, then hopefully we'll be able to get a quick answer on that. But at the moment, we have got opportunities to get funding externally to support it.
You want to come back? Yes.
Thank you. So whilst you're going out to consultation, is there going to be a pause between coverage for the town rangers? Thank you.
No, I'm working on filling that gap currently.
Councillor FD.
Thank you, Chair. I was going to ask the same question on town rangers, so I won't bother repeating that. Also, nice to see that the money's gone to the tennis courts in Great Wakering. I haven't walked over there to play tennis. I don't know if they've been done yet. If they haven't, hopefully they might get done before Wimbledon, because that's when most people decide they want to play tennis for a couple of months.
I don't think it will have started yet. I think it was a combination of that and other grants, if I'm honest. Thank you, Councillor FD. Councillor Malavida.
Just on the town ranges point, is there any plan to extend it to Friday evening coverage to curb antisocial behaviour or whatever else we've seen?
Thank you, Paul.
This is a general point that I'll make about community safety and antisocial behaviour. The perception is there's loads of it. The reporting of it is very low. So it is very difficult for us to work out when things are happening, to be able to staff and make resources available to do that. So that's why we're going to businesses, to try and get some feedback around that. But I would implore all residents that see antisocial behaviour are subject to it. Facebook, we don't look at Facebook. That's not the world that we have a look at, because some of the stuff that's posted can be 2 or 3 weeks old, so it's of no use to us. So they need to report it to the police. It's not a wasted call, because the data will show us where that is happening, and then we can target resource. We are considering the times that it's delivered, but getting the optimum times. If we said we did it up till 7 o'clock and all the incidents happening at 7:30, we're just wasting our time and money. So we're going to get some data, and then that will lead us on what we do. But yes, we will fit the scheme to reduce antisocial behaviour and support businesses.
That's very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Mrs. Burrow.
Thank you, Chair. I think I might have the answer, but Paul, if I could, through the Chair, you mentioned it's predominantly there for businesses. I got the understanding it was because we had a lot of trouble with the use at the time. Was this because they were affecting the businesses? And also, when you said to extend it, would this be just for a short extension, or are we looking at this on a long-term basis, please?
The first part is the antisocial behaviour and behaviour of people in the high street, as well as shoplifting, are affecting businesses. So the rangers are there to do those two things. Certainly at certain points of the day, school kick-out time, etc., there was a lot of issues with shops and young people, and that is improving quite well. Sorry, your second question. Yes, the intention is we would want this long-term. I'm sure some members know we have High Street Rangers in Brentwood. They've been there for as long as I've been here, and certainly we've seen massive inroads into improving the high street, with shoplifting particularly down by 53%. So it's considerable improvement to the high street. So we would want to have it long term in what I think is one of the best high streets in Essex and Rayleigh. So let's make it a really nice, safe place.
Thank you, Paul. And you just cheered the town councillors up with that last statement.
Thank you, Chair. Through the Chair. I attended a Chamber of Commerce last week, and the businesses were very impressed with the way the town rangers had actually helped with the business. So I did ask them to come and let the officers here know, and their local councillors, to hopefully keep it going. So yeah, hopefully we'll hear something from them.
Thank you. Okay, moving swiftly on, unless there's any No more questions, thank you. Item 6, the leisure contract annual performance report. The report begins on page 23. Kim and Mark will present this report, and then a representative, or representatives I should say, of Everyone Active will update us on the performance at Clements Hall and Rayleigh Leisure Centres over the period from April 25 to March 26. The presentation also includes Everyone's Active key objectives and targets for 2026-27.
Thank you, Chair. Just to say that part of the monitoring of the leisure contract, which is a joint contract for the 2 sites in Brentwood and 2 sites in Rochford, is an annual report that comes back to committee. So we've got Dan Humphreys here and Paul Lindsay from Everyone Active who will do that presentation, and happy to take any questions afterwards.
Thank you. Gentlemen, I think Oksana's coming to help you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to come back and talk to you about all the very positive things that are happening in Clements Hall and Rayleigh. I've got a very detailed plan to go through. In terms of attendances, we have a little bit of a difficulty in terms of the previous incumbent didn't necessarily share any data, but what we can kind of see is we've had just under 500,000 visits to the leisure centres. Most importantly, we look at unique users, and certainly from April to when we've got through to March, those numbers have grown substantially. You'll see at the bottom of the community, we've started to do more work with the ATF project down in Great Wakering, but the positive things there is that there's 15,649 unique users. So it doesn't matter how many times those people are coming, those are how many people in our communities are coming into those centres. So whilst we can't provide comparable data to previous years, those numbers have certainly grown over the 11 months that we've been in the contract from April through to the end of March. In terms of what we've got, really brilliantly, we've seen a massive increase in group exercise. So we've seen lots of people come into the projects. We've recently started following on from an amazing Parkinson's awareness session that we did in November. Some seated activities, which are bringing in people that might not necessarily have viewed the leisure centre as their first stop of activity that is targeted in that. From a rackets perspective, we've been very positive in terms of seeing a high number of footfall there. And then from a swimming perspective, we've seen a great deal of consistency in terms of the attendances there. The first half term of Easter, we've introduced the inflatable session, so fun swimming back into Clements Hall, which has been incredibly well received alongside this year. So it doesn't necessarily fall into sport. We started to work with Active Essex and provided the holiday activity food camps, which have been very well received in terms of what we've got. In terms of a bit of a key insights, I apologise that I could just keep talking all day long, but I appreciate I've got a limited amount of time and there's a lot of data there. We break down our usage in terms of looking at a demographic base. So we're seeing a fair amount in terms of people. This information is only as good as the information that we've got coming through. We've then broken it down in terms of penetration by the wards that we've got. So you'll get a bit of an understanding of how many people are coming from the locations that we know that we've got the sites. There's no surprise that where we have got the sites in Raleigh and where we have got the sites in Hawkwell, we're seeing a higher proportion of those people coming through from those demographics. Part of what we're looking to achieve with our community programmes is working with partners like ATF and some of the youth workers in terms of Barker Bus, of how we get more into those communities and target some of those specific areas that maybe not necessarily as high up in terms of that reach that we've got there from a user insight perspective. From a learn. Sorry. That's all right. Most people say I shout too loudly anyway. So, from a learn to swim perspective, we've seen a 16% growth. So when we started, we've seen 103 more swimmers in part of our Learn to Swim programme, which is an amazing kind of advocate in terms of what we've got. We're by no means finished. With that, over the last 12 months, we've seen 231 people that have achieved that key stage ability to swim 25 metres. And this month alone, certainly it's actually this week, is the Swim Safe programme, so a big programme around being water safe. All of our kids this week are being taught to identify beach colours, what the flags mean and how they stay afloat if they get dragged out to sea, and well, hopefully not dragged out to sea, but aware of where they've got to swim and not. From a fitness membership perspective, certainly from when we took over in April, we've seen a growth of 15.2%, which is an increase of 682. From a user perspective, 61% of those people coming in are from Rochford, with a further 21% of those people coming from Southend. There's a detailed report that sits there that the offices then get to see where else those people come from. In terms of our supported memberships, we offer 24 unique users free access as part of our Parkinson's support network. We've got 12 of those people are being supported on carer memberships, where their family members may well be suffering from Parkinson's. So as a respite relief, they've got the ability to come to the gym. We are working with Essex County Council on a cared experience and a cared for children's experience. That's something at the moment we haven't had a great deal of traction with, but we're trying to work alongside Essex County Council and our partners at Active Essex to make that happen more. Since we started in April, we've had 12,000 people sign up to our Offer an Active card, which is hugely positive. And again, what we do is we do a post-user survey. So like most digital organisations, you join us, we'll send you a welcome email. Once you've used us a couple of times, we'll ask you, how did you find us? Initially, we've kind of found those scores very positive in terms of what we're looking at. So we're asked questions around the fitness experience. We're in a situation that, of course, we'd like to see some of those numbers slightly higher, but certainly in terms of where we've come from, we've had a lot of positive feedback in terms of the things that we're doing. Most positively, we're seeing a customer service satisfaction score over 80%, which is very positive. We don't survey those people, so they go out to people anonymously. So the counsellor that's a member, we won't know if you've said anything good, bad or indifferent, but we're in a situation that will then be acting upon that. From a workforce profile, one of the key things in the industry that we work in is making sure that we develop our teams. You know, we want that to be a fair representation of the community that we've got. We've seen one colleague start a modern apprenticeship in the last 12 months. We've not been helped by the fact that corporately there's been some changing around the funding of how leisure apprentices have been structured in our organisation, and we're now with a new company. From a leadership profile, we've got 15 management positions. Really positively, 8 of those come from female colleagues, and we saw 4 of those colleagues get internal promotions since we started. From our staffing structure, best part of 91% of those colleagues live within a 20-minute drive of those sites, which is great in terms of what we've got. Obviously, when we started in the contract, we've recruited a number of new colleagues, 58 in total, of which 5 came from NEETs, 1 that came from one that came through one long-term employment, and clearly 58 of the 58 can't have come from training or education. So I apologise, that must be a typo on my report. And we've trained 3 new swim teachers. So the big profile of what we want is to invest into our community, invest into our team so that we've got skilled colleagues that can get out into the community, help do more things in terms of what we do. One of the big changes that we've got in the leisure industry is how we talk about social value. Now, one of the things that we've got here is that we use a calculator from Sheffield Hallam University, which is the Moving Communities Calculator. So as a company, we provide all of our non-specific data to people, so they understand their age, their demographic, their mosaic profiling. What we've seen is that we've seen over the last 12 months that we've generated £3.3 million worth of social value, of which that's broken down on the right-hand side of whether that's mental and physical health benefit, whether that's subjective well-being, whether that's individual development or social and community development. Last year I gave a very long presentation about this and was asked to not include as much of that detail, but it's certainly not something that's made up. It's certainly that comes from a bit of a background in terms of that. What we then do is we then break that down to social value per person. So we're in a situation that, depending on their background, their demographic, where they live, their mosaic profiling, we've seen that our social value per person across the contract in Rochford is 218. There's a slight difference in terms of Clements Hall compared to Rayleigh, at the moment, we kind of perceive that down to just the shift in terms of a different demographic in those areas. Now, as we get more and more data, we should be in a situation to provide a little bit more insight in relation to that. In relation to that, we've seen 15,000 unique people through the doors. It will come as no shock to anybody that active users are people that are using the centres more than 3 times a week. Those people that are using the centres more often naturally are going to get a greater health and physical activity and mental health benefit from it. So therefore, when you look at the social value per person, you see that that's £485 for people that are more active. Our shift is to be in a situation that we try and convert more people into that unique user mix, but ultimately try and get people to be more active more often. In terms of what we've got, we've had 2 funding applications that we've applied for in the last 12 months. We've been successful for 1, and we sponsored 2 charity events. Granted, I've duplicated that twice. In terms of local spending, we break down all of our spending. 8.3% of our spending is in Rochford, which is just under £90,000. And in the wider Essex, we spent £168,000 in terms of what we've spent. From an environmental perspective, there's not a huge amount of insight that I can kind of provide on this front because we don't have accurate information from last year. The more positive thing that we've kind of found is that at Clements Hall, as part of the UK SPF funding, the solar panel systems have generated 91,000 kilowatts of energy in the last 12 months. So we've got a lovely app that we're going to look at getting expanded out. At the moment, it's just a tablet on the desk at Clements Hall. The idea is we're going to kind of put this onto a TV so that people can kind of see the value of what's happening in that leisure centre. We're then mixing that in terms of our recycling rates. So our long-term, at the moment, our recycling in the centre is 23.9%. We have ambitions to try and get that as close to 40%. And again, we look at active travel, and we're kind of seeing that at the moment. You know, we've got 20% of our customer base that are walking, of which 26% are using active travel. Our long-term ambitions is that we can kind of look at supporting how we can get more people out and doing various different green travel aspects. In terms of the Great Wakerin project, we've supported the amazing work that goes on in terms of the ATF team, where we're supporting and co-funding some of those activities there. They do an amazing thing. We've also commissioned them to do a number of things for us to look at discovery days in other parts of Rochford. At the moment, what they're doing is an ideal model that we'd like to support, trust, build that somewhere else. We've got some discovery days coming up in September that we're looking at just trying to work out where we kind of move next on to those things. As part of Everyone Active, we do a champions program. So we have a sporting champions program where it might not necessarily be elite level users, but people that are aspiring to be at that level. This year we've got the guy that appears to be on a lot of advertising, Harry Aitkins of Reiki, is the spearhead of that campaign. Last year we had 11, this year we've got 12, and we kind of hope that they're going to go on to be aspiring athletes. Community champions, last year we just started that program. This year we've got 3 programs where we're co-funding projects. So one of the things that we're doing is supporting the council with their young council network. So when people are on the young councillors in Rochford, they also get the ability that if they turn up to meetings and participate, as a byproduct, we'll give them access to the centres in Rochford as a kind of incentive for them to get involved. That gives us the ability to interact with those young people as well. We've got a couple of other projects with Kinder Essex, and a karate club that we're doing some autistic work with in Rowley as well. From a colleague champions, this is probably the most pleasing thing in terms of what we want. We've got 2 colleagues that were nominated for our community champions program as well. So they're people that have been recognised for their performances and activities in terms of what we've got. This was just a review in terms of what we've done from last year. So we've generated that 5% increase in terms of social value from the start of April. We started at 1.1 million by the end of Q1 last year. We've developed a bit of a Parkinson's network. We've still got some work to do with that. Brilliantly, with the council's support and funding, the pool pod has now gone into Clements Hall, and we're seeing that get a regular amount of activity on a regular basis. We're also seeing that growth in unique users. One of the things that we've probably not done as well as is the My Weight Matters program, which is something that we're kind of reinventing this year. We've had 15 people that have gone through that program since we launched in September, with aspirations to try and get that much, much higher. Similarly, with MSK, which is the Musculoskeletal Support Hub. You know, we've got 15 regular people that access the centre and do various different activities as part of our Good Boost sessions. One of the things that we're most proud of last year is the launch of exercise referral. So we've seen a huge increase in terms of people starting into that scheme. You know, we're in a situation that we've got 13 referring partners, which is brilliant. One of the things that we found most pleasing is that we've had quite a good level of publicity from this, and when we've looked through and looked at those referrals, people have referenced what they've read in the media. There's a bit of a viewpoint in terms of some of the aquatic developments that we've got. So we've got a pool cover that I probably should have put in the environmental slide as well. That was installed in May. That helps in terms of keeping the heat recovery into the pool. The launch of the inflatable session and the pool pod that we've spoken about. Part of our work in terms of what we've done is promoting wellbeing as well. So we've had various different events in terms of World Cancer Day. Off the back of that, we've then launched another session where we've got a cancer support group that now meet in the cafe on a regular basis, which is great in terms of seeing the things that we've got. It's far too small for me to see, but there's some customer testimonials from what we've got from there. The events that we've done with Kind of Essex, the belonging space, the exercise referral and the seated activities is just a sample of some of the things that we've done at Clements Hall. At Rayleigh Leisure Centre, the Bowls Hall has new efficient lighting in the Bowls Hall. The Squash Court has new lighting and has a bit of a refresh in there, coupled with some of the works that we've spoken around the Alzheimer's Societies and our C-Word and Living Well sessions that we've got. This year coming forward, which will be our second year in Rochford, we've set our objectives, rather cornily based on the Everyone's Principle, where we want to be in a situation where we become more engaged in our communities. We want to see that participation level grow by a minimum of 3%. We want to see a 5% increase in terms of our social value. We'd like to see 100 exercise referrals, and we'd like to be in a situation that ultimately we see more people coming through the door that are happier achieving their results. We've then broken that down into our 4 kind of key areas in terms of customers, communities, carbon reduction, which will soon become climate and environment, and our colleagues. The key thing of what we want to do is that we know that from a colleague perspective, the more colleagues that we've got that are better skilled, the better they are at helping people to become more active in our communities. From a swim framework, we break it down into various different areas, but what I will do is just talk you very briefly in terms of the programme of what we've got. So we've just launched Back to Netball at Clements Hall. We've got a programme of summer holiday activities. Part of what we do is that there's an Everyone's Family programme that will come out over the summer holidays where activities will be £2. The idea being is that it's inclusive, low cost, potentially maybe we'll get new people into the centre. From a building environment perspective, there are repairs to the Clements Hall roof, boiler replacement for the dry side change rooms, further squash court refurbishments at Clements Hall, which start in 3 weeks' time, and then the changing room floor works that have just been completed at Rayleigh. There are plans that I'm sure that people are aware around the future developments in terms of what we'd like to do with the centres. There are a brief snapshot in terms of what some of those images look like from a graphic perspectives. We're in a situation that we're working with the council in terms of what our next steps look like and ensuring that those cost plans of what we want to deliver definitely come in under budget. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Paul and Dan, for a very comprehensive presentation. Councillor FD, you already indicated.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. It's a really good presentation on the report. Just got a couple of questions on page 25, physical programming Great Waking. It's lovely to see that. Remember last year I asked about what was going out to the outlying towns and villages, but there is Barling, Sutton, other places. Would you maybe do a grant scheme if one of the parishes asked for outdoor equipment or something for fitness equipment? Would that be something that you might contemplate doing?
I mean, we don't say no. I think the interesting thing we find, certainly with fitness equipment, is just that level of support of what it provides. So we've recently done some review of the whole of Essex around outdoor play equipment, because it's in a lot of places. From my experience, it's not overly well subscribed and used. So one of the things that we were looking at as a circumnavigate was, can we get an instructor out there to go and do some sessions for people that want to use those sessions? I think from what I've experienced with the outdoor gym equipment, that if you know how to use it, it's great, people love it, but actually it's finding those people that might not be comfortable, might not be confident using it, how we can get them using what's already there in that place. So it's not a no, and we're open to all of those ideas. I think our viewpoint is how can we facilitate what's already there. I've done some work recently on that, but if I'm honest, I haven't quite concluded.
It's good that you've thought about it and it's in the back of your brain, so that's really useful. Page 26. Oh no, sorry, page 25. The delivery of GP referral scheme. You've got quite good figures up there on your report, but it'd be interesting to know what GPs have referred more people than other GPs. So are they all taking part in this? Are they all using it to the best how they can? Or is it some GPs are not quite as good as others? Maybe that might not be something you've got now, but I'd be interested
No,
to see.
so we have the data. I think the difficulty that we've got in some of those things is we find advocates to the scheme. So we kind of look at it in a more positive twist, if I'm honest. So one of the things that we haven't done is that we're waiting until September when we've done a full 12 months. What the plan will be is that we'll then issue a newsletter to all of those referral agencies. There's 13 different referral agencies. So they could be physios, they could be doctors, they could be, health coaches. And we will nominate a leader of the year. Now, what we want to do off the back of that is drive positive reinforcement as opposed to telling GPs, you've not referred people, you've not done this. And I think we need to take ownership that actually, are we singing enough about it? Have we got enough PR going out about it? Because what people want to see is they want to see local people achieve for those things. And the stories are there, and we've done amazingly well with how the team kind of do that. I think with the exercise referral scheme, we've got that newsletter. We're waiting for that day to come September. And if you want us to kind of share some of that information, we won't use it as a shame. I think it's up to us to be in a situation to go, have we actually gone out to one of those referral agencies where it's low?
Through the chair, can I just come back quickly on that?
Please
I was
don't
gonna
tell me
say
you're a GP.
The GPs where we found with planning,
Yeah.
where they apply for grants and stuff like that, GPs are extremely busy. So it's making it a simple way to do things is really important for them. So that may be something to bear in mind when you go back to them with your newsletter and other bits and pieces. Is that easy to do? So
So one
Sometimes
of
they
the
don't
things
because
that
of
we've
it's
got
hard.
is that our referral scheme is all for a secured network. So probably, let's say 6 years ago, GPs would have had to have got a folder, they'd have had to have printed it, they'd have had to have posted it out. It would have delayed the lag. What we've tried to do is be in a situation that all referring agents have got our referral. This is what happens at week 1, week 2, week 3. And it's electronic. So much like writing a prescription, they should be able to dial into that HTML once they've got the secure link agreed, and then they can refer people with an instant, and it's with our team relatively quickly.
okay, just one more, very quickly, one more. Sorry. What does increase net promoter score by 5? What does that mean?
So
I
we
might
use
miss-
the Net Promoter Score, which is basically a score from 1 to 10. What we do as part of that Net Promoter Score, which is a standard thing in customer services, we take out, I'll be careful I get this right, we take out all of the scores that are between 6 and 8. So you divide the people that are scoring us 10 and 9 from the detractors, the people that are scoring us less than 6, as a bit of a yardstick to kind of see how we're performing.
Okay, thank you.
I
Councillor
probably
Mrs.
said
Brewer.
that wrong, so don't quote me on that.
Thank you, Chair. Actually, it's following on from Councillor Efty as well. You've got the GP exercise referral scheme, etc. At Clements Hall. Is this not at the Rayleigh Leisure Centre, or is it going to be promoted there? And are the GPs coming from the Rayleigh area or just from Rochford as a generalisation near the Clements Hall? I put this one way because I had somebody mention this and they said, well, we couldn't get to Clements Hall even if we could be referred. And I will have another question after that for you, if that's all right with the Chair. Thank you. Did you want to answer that one now?
Yes, and as you know, I'm incredibly honest to a fault. Part of part of our skills development is to find the right person to do it at Rayleigh. At this point, we don't have it operating out of Rayleigh at the moment. Part of one of the things that we've got is that the person that does exercise referral needs to be someone that's got a huge amount of emotional intelligence and life skills. It's not someone that perhaps is a personal trainer, and I'm probably doing a lot of our team a disjustice, but we found historically through the sites that we manage that it requires a certain type of person that's got a soft skill set, can understand that. The last thing that someone that wants to join the exercise referral scheme is to be put off because they meet someone that's, you know, in extreme physical condition, and we want them to have those right soft skills. We've got an amazing coach at Clements. We need to find that person and develop that person in Rayleigh.
Thank you, Chair. If I may, with my second point. Anybody that knows me will know what's coming next. So, Dan, thank you. I mean, we have worked already on some things to do with dementia. You didn't really mention it. You mentioned the Alzheimer's Society. I will have to speak to you about this outside of this meeting, I believe, because the photos you had up there of the cafes that are run by the Inclusive Dementia Community, which isn't the Alzheimer's Society. There is a definite divide by that because the IDC comes from Essex County Council and the Alzheimer's Society are only supporting us, but we can discuss that. Also, you were very good. I met with you from representing the IDC and Mark Neville from the Alzheimer's Society, and you failed to mention that you had your team leaders all do the Dementia Friends training and that you were interested in doing the accreditation. I don't know where you're standing with that because there was no mention of that. And I think on that, I might just back away now. So, I mean, I know you're very active with the Parkinson's UK, and we were hoping that we could be able to get it with the dementia stuff as well. Do you have, I can't actually remember now, I'm really sorry. I think it was a seated exercise with Parkinson's. Do you actually have people with dementia noted separately, same as you do with the Parkinson's? Do you have visitors that have dementia? How would you recognise that? I don't know how you recognise it with the Parkinson's.
So there's about 5 questions in one there, I'm afraid.
I'll
So
just
I'll do
leave
my
it to you
best to
then.
pick those one out. So the reason why we didn't mention that is because we haven't delivered on what I wanted to achieve. So I wanted to be in a situation that part of that accreditation, we delivered that by the end of the summer. So as a team, we will re-profile to make sure that we work on that accreditation because I wanted to be in a situation that Brentwood, Rochford and Basildon have all got those accreditations. Now, yes, we did an amazing training day with yourself and Mark. We need to just work on how we build on that front. So part of the conversations that we've got around developments and what we're doing across Rochford is we're kind of keen to catch up with yourself and Mark and go, does this work from a dementia perspective in terms of how we can promote that to be as dementia friendly as possible? So there is some more work for us to do on that front. In terms of the seated exercise, my understanding is that we don't call it a Parkinson specific seated exercise session. Now, what we focus on is that it's a lighter intensity class as opposed to something that's specific for a condition or that. So yes, there are people that can come in from dementia. Part of one of the things that we are working on corporately is that when people sign up for the Referent Active card, we're not going to ask them a million questions about their health. So it might change. So what we're now doing as a company is we're sending regular updates every 12 months to go, you've been a member now for ... Is it time to update your health and bits and pieces? So we just get a wider view. Now, like most systems, it's only as good as the information that goes into it. We just need to be in that situation that our team, our facilities that we've got, we can identify that without having to know whether someone's got dementia because they've ticked a box or we've got something on a piece of paper.
Thank you, Dan, for that. And now I'd just like to say, I'd like to thank you and the team because you have been down to our dementia cafes and you are supporting us. And I'd just like the other councillors to know that you also are supporting us with refreshments, tea, coffee, biscuits. And so you're doing a wonderful job with us at that point. I just wanted to mention that. Thank you very much.
Does that mean we've got to go and get the next batch out in the next couple of weeks? Selfishly, we've used it because from our colleague perspective, it was a really great experience for us to go and see what a successful dementia cafe looks like. And one of the things that we've done at Clements Hall is try to replicate some of those things. And, you know, what better way to learn them from people that have got a great successful session. So thank you for inviting us down.
Thank you, Dan. Anybody else got any questions? Just a couple of points. Your swim programme, that looks really good because my understanding is they're cutting back within swimming lessons within school, so that's good. And looking at the membership, the carers or cared for young people, I'm presuming that's subsidised or free membership. And can we then promote that? Because we have young carers groups, for example, here in Rochford District.
So one of the things that we've worked with Kim on is an understanding that, because carers means a lot of things to different people. So these are young carers that are in the care system. So at the moment it doesn't, and there's still work for us to do in terms of how we do that for people that may well be caring for mum or may well be caring for some of their other children. At the moment it's more of a liaison for us in terms of Essex County Council on that front. But we do have ambitions, and we are trying to look at what we can do for other carers, if that makes sense. It's always a very difficult subject to kind of say who gets it and who doesn't, but I think we're trying to be in a situation to as broad as we can. And I know that Kim and I have had many a conversation in terms of how we do that.
Lovely, thank you. Kim, have you got anything to add to this presentation?
Nothing further to add, but appreciate Dan coming down here today and giving a kind of very full presentation of the activities they've done over the last year.
Thank you. So members, this is recommendation 1. It's for noting the report in the presentation. Is that noted, members? Lovely, thank you. And again, thank you, Dan and Paul. If you would like to depart, you are welcome to. So members, moving swiftly on, item 7, Rochford Community Safety Partnership Annual Report. The report begins on page 59. Sean Steer, you will introduce this report. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, the report provides an overview of the progress made by the Community Safety Partnership. Obviously, we are a joint partnership with Castle Point, but focused purely on the Rochford response. Happy to
Sean,
consider.
I'm ever so sorry. You're quite quietly spoken.
I was very sorry.
Lovely, thank you.
I thought I was close enough. Okay, let me start again. So the report provides an overview of the progress made by the Community Safety Partnership in delivering activities to address the key priorities identified within the partnership plan. And the action plan, obviously we are a joint partnership with Castle Point, but this report focuses purely on the Rochford work that we do within that plan. Happy to invite any questions.
Okay, members. Councillor Mrs Newport. If you can
Thank
refer
you.
to the page in the item, if that's okay.
I'll do my best. So for the first bit, if you could just confirm whether there's a drafting error in the report, as on page 86, the report refers to Brentwood as opposed to Rochford. So if you could just confirm that before I ask my first question.
Yes, there is an error there on page, sorry, bear with me, on
86.
page 86 and 82.
Thank you. So if I may, the report states that the Community Safety Partnership meets quarterly and operates under agreed governance arrangements. The terms of reference also provide for formal meetings, agenda setting, and an exec group which meets in advance. Can the chairman, or through the chair, can you confirm whether formal minutes are taken at the Community Safety Partnership meetings? And if so, where members and the public can access current and historic copies? Thank you.
Thank you. I think that question will be to Paul Brace. Paul, would you like to answer? Thank you.
I can confirm minutes are taken, but they are not council minutes. And there's no legislative requirement for them to be shared in public. And that's the answer we have. The Community Safety Partnership have been asked about minutes and sharing them and wanted those to be kept as they are. What I would say is the information and the work that goes on in the CSP is reported annually here, as you see in the report, and also through the Chair's report, which we've also had reports as well. So there are things that can be discussed at the Community Safety Partnership, antisocial behaviour, which could be about individuals, families, etc., or strategy of the police on how they're going to approach certain items. Those would not be things that we would want to share through minutes. So that's why no other CSPs in the county share their minutes of the CSP.
Thank you, Paul. And I think, Councillor Mr Newport, you were previously involved, and you know as well as I do, even when names are redacted, people can identify themselves from any sort of minutes. Of course you can.
So thank you for that, Chair. And as you alluded to, I was previously the Chair on the Community Safety Partnership. So when I previously chaired the partnership, minutes were available to all councillors and members of the public. I also hold Community Safety Partnership minutes that date back to 2021. I had an email from an officer dated the 21st of November 2024 confirming that Community Safety Partnership minutes would be published on Rochford District Council's website under the Community Safety Partnership page. So therefore, can someone please explain what has changed since then, why members no longer appear to receive these records or be directed to where they can be found, and how this committee is expected to fulfil its statutory scrutiny role if those records are not readily available? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mrs Newport. First of all, obviously, I had I was chair of, well, the portfolio holder for community safety for several years predating that. I know then we did not share them publicly. So I can't say what happened between when you had them to now. However, I don't think that's included in this report. You've raised the question. Paul will come back to you with an answer at a later date. Is that okay? That isn't a one for tonight. Thank you. Have you got a question on tonight's paper?
Well, it's all to do with the report, if I may then. So I understand an antisocial behaviour subgroup has been created. So could you confirm when this group was established and why were elected members not informed of its creation? Because to my recollection, I didn't know anything about it until reading this. And if I may, in relation to that ASB subgroup, can you provide the terms of reference for the subgroup, including its membership, reporting arrangements, delegated powers, meeting frequency and accountability arrangements? And I appreciate you may not be able to do that this evening, so I can accept an email reply if that's easier. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Did you want to come back on that?
The Community Safety Partnership can and does do what it sees fit, and the setting up of an ASB group was something that the partnership wanted to do. That is to target antisocial behaviour and it's those hotspots where it happens. I'm more than happy to do a report about ASB and how it's approached, but again, the work of the ASB group will be talking about individuals, we'll be talking about roads, streets, action, what we're targeting to do, how we're going to catch perpetrators, etc. So it would not be something that we would share in the public domain.
Thank you, Paul. And again, historically, I know that we have set up groups to deal with, up and coming issues and things. Yeah, okay.
Thank you, Chair. So just touching on that point then, Paul, are members of Rochford District Council, are they not able to feed into that ASB subgroup and where we have concerns about areas? Because obviously you've got in there about ASB hotspots, which locations have been identified as hotspots. You don't need any member feedback into any of that?
I'm sorry, I never said that we didn't want anything coming in. You asked what comes out. So what I will say is anybody that reports something to us, if they give us details, not it happened, but we don't know when and we don't know where, which we can't do anything with, if we have got a report of something, that is fed into the ASB group. All reports of any ASB from us, from the police, from fire, from any other body will be fed into the ASB subgroup.
Sorry, just can you confirm then where you would like who you would like members to email about any ASB issues within the district council?
I can probably answer that. Well, first of all, you've got Sean, who's our officer for reporting any things. But unless it's something that you've personally witnessed, you always encourage that member of public to report on 101 or online, so that they're also going to get the stats come through that way to the police. Is that fair enough and comprehensive response, Paul?
If it's something that members want to query about, members' inquiries, we will answer that. If it's something specific that you're really concerned, safeguarding issue, whatever it is, then yes, please contact the appropriate officer around that. We're not saying don't call us, but as I say, we keep coming up with people saying there's lots of things happening in locations, but we have 0 reports on it, and that's us and the police. So we need to do a lot more reporting. There is a lack of reporting, and that's not just here, that's in quite a lot of the county.
Any other question, Councillor Mrs Newport?
If I can, it's on a different matter to ASB now, Paul, so you'll be pleased about that. It is on the report. It's about the PSPO, the Order for the Public Spaces Protection. So residents first raised concerns regarding vehicle-related antisocial behaviour about 2.5 years ago. Can you explain why the progress towards a public spaces protection order has taken such a long time and provide a clear timetable for implementation? And also on that one, if it is approved, if the PSPO is approved, what resources have been identified for the enforcement, and how will its effectiveness be measured? Thank you.
Thank you, Paul, if you could answer.
So consultation, why is it taking so long? I believe when we set out the report that we said it would not be a quick thing to deliver, also given the size of the team that we have at Rochford, which is slightly bigger now, but certainly it was just me and Sean at that point. So we've now undertaken the consultation. We have done further consultation with parish councils. We are also, as part of the legislation, do have to speak to landowners, which we are currently doing and will be concluded. In terms of resources, a report will be coming to the next committee for the final approval of whether we do or we don't do the PSPO. We are submitting a bid to the PFCC for the new noise CCTV cameras, which will detect revving engines and street racing, which then sends an automatic fine to the registered owner of that car. And we are doing that as a joint bid with Southend and Castle Point. So the idea is that all three of us will be working together to stop this part of the county being infiltrated by street racing. That's been used in Great Yarmouth and in a London borough, and it's seen quite dramatic reduction in issues. So we're looking at that. We are now also planning the signage, because we can't do the PSPO without putting signage up. So we are plotting that and working with county how we can do that. So this is a mammoth task to do, and we are getting close to the decision point that we can move ahead. But we need to make sure we have got the funding, we know how much things are going to cost, and understand what we may need in any other resources. But we should have that by September, or nearly all of it by September.
Thank you. And should that come through before, then members will be made aware of that.
Thank you. That sounds great, Paul. It'd be great to see it come to fruition. So hopefully, we're hopeful that by the end of the year, we'll have a much more bigger idea on what's happening and the dates for implementing this, will we?
Yeah, I don't know how long signage will be to make at this stage. I'm not sure how quickly the cameras are going to be installed when the PFCC makes decisions. So there's lots of moving parts, but by the next committee, I can give you an update that will give you what we're targeting with as much as we know. But certainly in this municipal year, we would want the PSPO to start.
Thank you. Councillor Mrs Brewer, you've got a question on the paper.
Thank you, Chair.
What page do you mind? And item
I'm just
number?
about to. I've just gone blank on the page. It's just some for my clarification, please, Chair. It's page 80, and it's regarding the statutory partners and the partnerships. On the list there, it comes down to Rayleigh Town Council and Canvey Town Council. My question is it just those two town councils? Is it not other parish councils? If not, why not? And where do we stand with that? It's for my clarity. I'm uncertain on that point. I could have that, please.
Yes, and you raised this earlier, and I totally agree. Sean, can we have those added, please? Because we work with our parish councils as well.
Yeah, they'll certainly be invited. But in terms of statutory partners, the statutory partners are in the Crime and Disorder Act, so it's police, fire service, ourselves, health and probation.
So just to clarify, the only statutory local authority is the local authority, i.e. RDC and Castle Point. So any other body that comes to the CSP is by invite, but the statutory parties are local authority, police, fire, NHS, health and probation.
Yeah, so you're quite clear on that one, yeah. Yeah, lovely. Councillor FD.
Thank you, Chairman. Just two questions. Page 100, Speed Watch. Any chance we could have some stats about how many have gone on in the last year and where they are? It'd be interesting, and what would be a good outcome for next year, and who have we got to do this? And the other one is page 105. I suppose you mentioned on it in the last report about the street racing. We're working with Southend now. Maybe that's something we should maybe think about doing more with local government reorganisation, and what resources might be necessary to do that. So that might be something that might be worth coming back.
While Paul's dealing with that, I can answer. Paul's already working quite closely with Southend. We had a meeting the other week and he was explaining to me about that. And do you want to come back about the Community Speed Watch?
We'll get you the details of Speed Watch, and we've been working with Southend while Lisa was chair of the CSP with the CCTV car. So we've built quite a good relationship with Southend. So they're leading, putting the bid in, which saves us a lot of paperwork, to be fair. So us and Castle Point are using the resources of Southend to hopefully get a good bid into the PFCC.
Thank you for that, Paul.
Councillor Missy Brewer, you've got another question.
It's sort of relating to my first question, if that's all right, Chair. With the terms of reference list, the Rayleigh Town Council's a co-opted partner. So can you confirm whether Rayleigh Town Council receives notice of upcoming CSP meetings and is invited to submit representations and community safety concerns? Thank you.
Sean?
I don't believe it has been recently. I think there's been some issues because we don't just administer the minutes, it's also Castle Point. So I'm going to make sure that that does go ahead, and you do receive the invitations to attend.
Thank you. That answers the question. Oh,
I think, to be fair, we'd have to include all town and parish councils with an invite, Sean.
on that case, that would probably have to be a CSP decision before those invites go out. So we will review that and feedback, if that's okay. Has anybody else got any questions? No. Okay, so thank you very much, Sean, for putting the report together. The recommendation. Sorry, I turned my page over too quickly. It's for members to consider the work of the Community Safety Partnership through the Partnership Plan and provide comments on the work of the Partnership. Is that agreed, members? Thank you. Item 8, Safeguarding Policy and Procedures, 2026 to 29. The report begins on page 107 of your papers. Kim Anderson will now introduce this item.
Thank you, Chair. This is Rochford District Council Safeguarding Policy and Procedures. It is reviewed every 3 years and just updated in line with any new legislation. So since the last Safeguarding Policy and Procedure, we've had Children and Wellbeing Schools legislation 2026. The Working Together document has been updated again in 2026. The Renters' Rights Act has come in 2025, together with Online Safety Act in 2023. So that's some of the legislation that informs the new safeguarding policy and procedures. It sets out what to do if you want to make a referral. So it's a policy as well as the procedures to ensure that we safeguard our residents as well as we can. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Members, Councillor FD.
You have to put me right, Chairman, if I've got not the right place for this. But last year, at I think probably the last full council municipal year, we voted to a motion on DBS checks for councillors. I don't know if that would fall in this or somewhere else.
Kim, would that fall under this?
There is a section within the safeguarding policy and procedure which shows the requirements for DBS checks. So it's one of the appendices. It's whether you're having regular contact with children, young people or vulnerable adults. So it sets out the requirements for a DBS. So not everybody requires it. I would suggest if you're meeting with residents that you do it in a public place and not at their home.
So, Chair, can I come back slightly on that? With the motion, I'm pretty sure it said all members to be DBS checked, like they do at Essex. I'm pretty sure that was actually on the motion.
Yeah.
All recommended. You can't make someone do it, but it's recommended.
I will come back on that, and perhaps that is something that we will need to check what the actual motion was and agreed to, because as Councillor Mrs Newport just pointed out, I don't think we can make it mandatory. Is that correct, Kim? We can't make it mandatory.
Yeah, I'm happy to have a look at it and come back to members of the committee.
Are you happy with that, Councillor Efton?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Any other members got a question on the safeguarding policy update? Okay, so then members, we have one recommendation which is set out on the first page, that members agree the revised safeguarding policy and procedures 2026 to 29 for children, young people and adults with care and support needs as set out in Appendix A. I need a vote for this. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That, members, is unanimous. Thank you. Agenda item 9, annual report from Rayleigh Rochford Association of Voluntary Services, otherwise known as RAVS. The report begins on page 169. Again, Kim Anderson will introduce this item.
Sorry, Chairman, I think I might have a non-pecuniary interest because my mum runs the Dementia Hub in Great Wakering, and RAVS have helped her out on that.
Thank you, Councillor FD. That's noted. Councillor Mrs Brewer. Yep, that's fine.
Thank you, Chair. This is just an annual report from RAVS, which sets out what they have delivered as part of their annual grant agreement with Rayleigh District Council. Key elements are set out in the report, and if members have any further questions, we have got their Chief Executive, Victoria, with us in the room. Hopefully that can answer any questions for you. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for coming in and attending as well, Victoria. Members, have you got any questions on the report? Councillor Mrs Newport.
Not really a question, Victoria, you'll be pleased to know. I'd just like to say well done and thanks for all your hard work.
Thank you. I think we all echo those thanks. Anybody else have a question on the report? No, lovely. So recommendation 1 on the report is for members to note the report. Is it noted, members? Thank you, members. Thank you, Victoria. Item 10, Finchfield Trust, Landlord Compliance and Management Strategy. The report begins on page 189. Phoebe Barnes will introduce this item.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, members. So the report in front of you this evening is for this committee to consider as in their capacity as trustee for the Finchfield Trust. Full council devolved that responsibility down to this committee, and it's included in the terms of reference. So a lot of work has been done into the Finchfield Trust and understanding our obligations. The report looks to make recommendations that the Trust seeks to appoint a regulated property management company so that the full property management services for the 12 properties can be managed. At the moment, they are being managed in-house by the council. The report highlights the capacity issues that the council has regarding that, especially in light of the new legislation, which is the Renters' Right Act, where the trust is a private landlord in its capacity. Also, the report just looks to ask the committee to approve, as trustee, the agreed approach to the plan maintenance programme, which is that reactive repairs will be continued, compliance inspections will continue, but the suggestion is that to minimise disruption to the residents in these properties, that full replacements works will be carried out as and when the property becomes void. Obviously, if anything becomes to its end of life, the trust would go in and make them remedies. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Members, Councillor Efti.
Thank you, Chairman. Just a couple of quick questions. One, I'm a little bit confused to who the trustees are now. So is it still Rochford District Council? Is it still Raleigh Town Council or not?
Thank you, Chair. So the work that was done by Burkitt's Legal,
I remember reading it.
yeah, it was quite extensive. It's confirmed that it's the council is the sole trustee, and what was operating before was a form of management or company that, so Raleigh Town Council sat on that as a representative on the management board rather than as a trustee. We have rectified that and had a clear process now that the council remains trustee, and therefore this committee represents the council as trustee in day-to-day decision making.
So the reason I got confused because it said in that report, all 400 and something pages, it just referred to council each time. And I can't remember it actually making a difference between them. Also, so it'd be the chairman and the vice chair as it still is now.
No, the sole trustee is Rochester
Is the actual
District
council as an entity.
Yeah.
And that would carry on to LGR, go to whoever is the managing body of that. Okay, brilliant. Thank you.
Councillor Mrs Newport first.
Thank you, Chair. So given that Rochford District Council is expected to be abolished as part of local government reorganisation, what is the long-term governance plan for Finchfield Trust, and who is expected to become the trustee following the vesting day? And has legal advice been obtained regarding the future governance of Finchfield Trust under
Councillor
LGR?
Mrs Newport, is that in the paper that we've got in
It's
front?
relevant to, if I can't get an answer to any relevant questions, then I can't support the recommendation. So it's up to you whether you want to accept the questions. And
I think it's a difficult one. We'll have the question, but that won't be able to be answered tonight, I doubt.
well, if it's not answered
Maybe.
tonight, I won't be able to support. Do you want me to continue with the question then?
Okay, yep, I'll ask your question, please.
Do you want me to repeat it? Repeat the whole question? I can. So given Rochford District is expected to be abolished as part of LGR, what's the long-term governance plan for Finchfield Trust, and who is expected to become the trustee following vesting day? So therefore, has legal advice been obtained regarding the future governance of Finchfield Trust under LGR, and if so, what options are currently being considered? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Legal advice has been sought, and that it's the council, Rochester District Council, is named as trustee. What will happen regarding LGR is that once the council ceases to exist and the new unitary is formed, the new unitary will step into the role as trustee. So all governance arrangements currently in place remain in place. Then the new unitary would take that forward.
Yes, if you'd like to come back.
Thank you. So that sounds like there's a risk that the Finchfield Trust and its assets will become part of a much larger unitary authority, which will cover a significantly wider area. If so, what protections will be in place to ensure that the Trust continues to serve the older residents with a local connection to Rayleigh in accordance with its charitable objectives?
Those were revised, and Phoebe, would you like to? Thank you.
Certainly. So any new organisation that would step into the role of trustee has to adhere to the governing documents, the charity objectives under charity law. The council amended them objectives slightly to bring them into kind of modern day wording, and that, but the governing documents and the charity objectives still say that anyone applicable for them units has to be a resident of Rayleigh for 15 years, and the age. Any new unitary that became trustee would have to adhere by the governing document as it currently stands.
So Councillor Mrs Newport, the governing document was revised, but it met the requirements as consulted with Finchfield, that it remained that it is solely for residents of Rayleigh. The actual terms of reference are available on the charity website as well.
Okay, so can I just so just what you've said and what Miss Barnes has said, so that the original reason that the Finchfield was set up was for residents of Rayleigh, and that's safeguarded. It will still pertain to residents of Rayleigh, providing they meet that criteria.
Thank you. Councillor Miss Marriott, I saw you had your hand up.
It's just to ask, is this, the way that you want to do this now, is that going to bring it in line with what we already agreed on the Dutch cottage? Because it makes sense to me to have similar kind of setups for everything that we're involved in.
This paper is solely in relation to the Finchfield Trust.
Okay, I was just making a comparison.
The Dutch cottage is actually on the work plan to come forward in September, and that would be a separate paper, completely separate entities.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Malvisa, please.
Can I ask specific questions about page 193, 117? It talks about the proposal exposes the trust to legal and financial consequences. Do we have any indication of what that estimate is?
Phoebe, are you able to answer that one tonight?
What paragraph of the report was that? Sorry, I missed that.
Page 193, 117?
Yes.
Yep. Would you like it?
Non-compliance. Yep, sorry, I've got it now. Non-compliance within within legislation. Obviously, the fines range from limits. They can be from kind of 10,000s up to 30,000, 70,000. We can't quantify it because it would all be dependent on the severity of how non-compliant you are. But it is in the region of tens of thousands, sometimes up to hundreds of thousands, depending on the severity.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Can I just clarify that? Is that to do with the Renters Act? Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Efty, for clarifying that. Okay, so we now have two recommendations. I think we'll take them separately and we will vote on them both. So recommendation 1, that delegated authority is granted to the Director of Asset and Investment on behalf of Finchfield Trust to appoint a regulated property management company to provide full property management services for the 12 properties. All those in favour? All those against? There's nobody abstaining. Thank you, members. That recommendation is approved. Recommendation 2, that the committee acting in capacity of the sole trustee agrees the planned maintenance approach as detailed within the report. All those in favour? Thank you, members. That's unanimous. That's carried. Both recommendations. Thank you, members. Item 10 is the committee work programme. This report is on page 205 of your pack. Do members have any questions on the work programme? Please indicate if you do have any. Councillor Mrs Newport.
Sorry, just for clarification, when's the PSPO? Oh, it's back in September. I've found it. Thank you. No questions.
It's fine. And if you do have questions afterwards with regard to the work plan, you can always feed those in. Anybody questions? No. So that report, members, is only for noting. So is that noted, members? Thank you, members. That now concludes our business for this evening. Thank you all very much for your attendance. And just for the record, it is 16 minutes past